and welcome.
Good morning, Omas. Good morning to everyone out there. It's good to be with you all again. Week is almost done. That's a good thing.
Yeah. With where we always start, when we take down Monday, everything comes crumbling on their knees before us. That's how it works. So let's see what it looks for the business this morning. We've got the president who is jetting out of the country, and this will be forming part of the fulcrum of the conversation. Let's begin with this Saudi summit. And I understand that we have lots of activities going on the continent with Nigerians at the center of it. Let's begin with the third Intra-Africa trade fair. What is that? Where is that taking place, and what is it really all about?
Yeah. Actually, before that, you're right. President Tinubu has departed for Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So there's going to be a summit tomorrow, Saudi Africa summit, and there's another Arab Africa summit on Saturday. So he'll be there. Hopefully, he comes back with some good tidings. But yes, the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. This is the third annual Intra-Africa Trade Fair taking place in Cairo, Egypt. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is the head of the advisory council for the Intra-Africa Trade Fair. So the Afrexim Bank that's the Africa Export-Import Bank. They, of course, they've been very busy. They, were in Guyana just last week for the Africa-Caribbean Trade Investment Forum. So now they've got this activity going on in Egypt, where the subject will be, of course, about boosting trade within Africa. If you compare trade within Africa to trade within Europe, the Americas, Asia, the Middle East, Africa lags behind. We are not trading with each other as much as the other nations are. So that's going to be the subject, with a number of discussions, high-level discussions going on how to boost trade within Africa.
So talk to us about some of the hurdles that you've noticed holding back, intra-African trade. What are some of those you can highlight?
So, what I've realized is that you've got to have a favorable business environment, because if you think about it, if you or Mas go and, if you go and buy something or you sell something to somebody else, if you look at our markets where we are, that's trade, right? That is, if you can call it intra-Nigeria trade, if you want, when all of us are going about carrying on with our activities. So the business environment has to be very comfortable. I saw two really powerful videos randomly on Instagram where a Black American woman, her name is Denise something, I can't remember her surname, but she's an international real estate agent. And she basically was singing the praises of Dubai, how, there's no income taxes, how open they are for business, and just singing their praises to an audience where she was holding a conference. Then that's on the business side. On the social side, she was on a podcast where she was talking about how safe it is to raise her son there, that the police don't carry guns, he's not racially profiled, blah, 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 blah. So basically, if you take the investment story and the social story, you mesh that together. The government didn't tell her to do it. They just made a comfortable business environment, and other people are singing their praises. So that kind of thing will make other people she's spoken to want to go there. So that's what the African countries, when we think about this intra-Africa trade thing, it comes from within. If you make the business environment comfortable, you will attract or make life not only easier for your indigents, others will want to come in and do business.
That sounds, those videos refer to sounds like referrals already. A satisfied client already telling other satisfied clients, go and see this person. He would always deliver.
Yeah. Look. The UAE, they're just incredible. There was a bodybuilding tournament that took place in America where two Nigerians did very well. The UAE has one of the largest gyms in the world, of almost 15,000 square. I think I've talked about this before. They've made investments everywhere, whether it's physical fitness or whether it is, aviation, whether it is, real estate. These are the type of things that when people talk about how well they've done, other countries will want to, to do that. So that's part of what that's the trade story for Africa. Make things more comfortable.
So, like getting more referrals, that's where we need to get back to the clients right now to let them know that they can be part of this conversation this morning. If they know why Africa don't trade with Africans at the end of the day, countries are not doing as much as they do. I would like to hear what your thoughts are on 0809-444-0981. Get the WhatsApp messages coming and we would read them shortly. And so let's still stay. Is it really for want of a policy, agreement between these African countries, because we already have the African continental free trade area. So why are we still not seeing Africa, African countries do business among themselves?
But you remember it took a while for the agreements to be ratified. Not everyone had signed up. There was a bit of, foot dragging. COVID also happened, so that delayed things as well. But we're off and running. The agreement is good. It's just that there's still bottlenecks to trade within the continent. There's, the issues of the currency. We don't have a unified currency. There's also the matter of, infrastructure issues. Look at Nigeria's ports, right? Who are you going to trade with? Okay. And how is trade going to be seamless when your ports have the challenges that they have? So, these are the type of things that you've got to look at, with respect to the trade story.
I see a message already here. We lost some of your thoughts due to the connection, Rotus.
Oh, okay. Well, I was saying that our ports, for example, you've got issues with trying to have seamless trade when you've got ports that aren't exactly the smoothest ports in the world. The currency issues, whether or not you have the issue of the unified currency. Although hopefully we get to that. There's a solution the Afrexim Bank has for that. But those are the kind of things that are still not letting trade get off the ground.
I'd like you to speak on this currency more, because there's been the talk of the waivers. Where exactly do we really want to get this unified currency? Is it at the sub-regional level, or Africa in general just have a single currency?
Yeah, that's going to be hard. I mean, it took the European nations, how many years, how many decades before they could get there is going. It's tough because once you give up your currency, you give up your, independence when it comes to monetary policy. And then you are now beholden to conditions in another country. Inflation now gets to become an issue because interest rates, Nigeria now has to, a giant like Nigeria would have to be, following the same conditions as a tiny little country like Namibia or something, or even Cameroon. So there's a lot of stuff. And then of course there's the Francophone countries. Their CFA franc is tagged to the euro, backed by France and all that. And they like that because it's a strong currency and kept their currency stable. So they are not very keen. So there's a whole lot of, there's a lot of complexities that will not allow that unified currency take off just yet.
You touched briefly already on the hurdles, affecting the possibility of a single currency for Africa. So would you now suggest that if we can't get it for the continent as a whole, maybe at regional levels, they can explore that for starters?
Well, even so that's the thing. If you go through all that trouble to get a unified currency for, let's say, the West African region now, then if you might as well go through all that trouble for the entire continent, because if you start breaking it up into regions, I think then what if East Africa says they want to have their own regional currency, or Southern Africa wants to get its own regional currency, or Northern, then you now start getting everybody broken up and separated. So I think that whatever work you want to do to get a regional currency, don't limit it to just the limited regions. Let it be everybody at once. But that is still a long way away.
So recently, there's been this talk by African presidents, Kenya, South Africa, they've been and Rwanda included, also these visa waivers being granted. Do you also see this as a step in this direction to aid trade or movement? If people move, they would trade, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, Rwanda was the latest with Paul Kagame last week, making all the headlines, announcing that they've removed visa restrictions for all Africans. Yeah, if you can definitely move around easier, it will increase your appeal. People will want to travel there, no visa problems and all these issues. So that is a big, big help. So the question now is whether or not other countries will follow suit, because I think there's only Kenya wants to do this. Kenya says, I think at the end of this year or January next year, they will also look at removing visa restrictions as well. So, that we'll have to see how that works out, but it definitely would help.
But the Afrexim Bank in all of this, we understand has a solution to currencies across Africa. Do you have an inkling of what it is?
Yeah, it's called PAPS, the Pan-African Payments Settlement System, PAPSS. So what it is they are acting as a middleman to where if a Nigerian wants to purchase something from Ghana, the Nigerian pays through Afrexim's trade portal, will pay in Naira for the item, and the Ghanaian seller will receive that item in cedis. And so, it makes it better. That in fact, I think that might even be more convenient than the whole wahala of a unified currency. If I know that I can just buy something and pay Naira and the other person is getting it in their local currency, but somebody has to do the work. So Afrexim is taking on that responsibility of collecting the Naira, converting it to dollars, then converting it to cedis, and then giving it to the seller. So they want to take on that headache, and I commend them because that's not easy.
Your tray is almost clear for business this morning, Rotus, so we can look at it. Just touch on this last one relating to the Africa Investment Forum. Where is that happening, and what's this event about?
Yeah, another Nigerian at the center of that, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, president of the African Development Bank, former minister here of agriculture in Nigeria. He, of course, kicked things off with a speech that is about investment. So while the one going on in Egypt is about trade, this one is going on in Marrakesh, Morocco, and so they are talking about investments, about how to increase investments across the African continent. They are kind of intertwined if you think about it. Trade, investment, but this one is foreign direct investment. They want to attract foreign investors to come into the African continent and put money in there for a number of infrastructure and other ventures. So it's a lot. It's a lot happening. Africa is really in the news right now. There's a whole lot going on.
Well, from all you've told us this morning, it looks Africa is posing more like a bride ready for marriage and waiting for suitors to come. But the final question, as you leave us this morning, is Africa really conducive for investment at this time?
But Africa depends on, if you are looking at a Rwanda, I've thankfully been to Rwanda and seen how clean, how safe, I can sing Kigali's praises from now till tomorrow. Similar thing with Egypt. To some extent Nigeria, of course, but you got to get past the terrorism in different parts of the country, issues with bad roads. Yes, well, Africa is ready for investment. It's just, again, we don't want to talk of Africa as a country because it's a continent, but the different countries, there are a number of countries that are definitely very, if you go to Accra, you'll love it, so Lomé in Togo. So Africa is ready. Africa is ready.
Okay. Looks like a fine place to bring in the clients this morning. That's the listeners, as they like to be called. And Gbenga Kamu says, this matter of business environment is so important and basic to attracting investment, and Nigeria is not there at all. We have a hostile and harsh environment where it seems everything is out to ruin your business down, Benga Kamu. That's why the paper ease of doing business policy is so amusing. Bureaucrats and politicians think all there is to business is ease of registration. Do we have basic infrastructure to support businesses? Those ports are something else. Benga Kamu sent in that one. And then I will pick up a message from Fine Oluboroko saying, it says, well, inter-Africa trade can only improve when African countries drop their harsh economic policies against trading with other African neighbors. A good example is South Africa's trading law against other African countries. Fine Oluboroko left us that one. Then I've got Gilbert from Firstack saying, on trade matters with other African countries, it is important we fix our internal challenges first before thinking outwards. In the 1960s, Southwest states did well in cocoa trade. We can learn from the creation of Odua investment and apply it to our today's trade in Nigeria. That's Musa's thoughts. And then will come in a message from Yinka Bolu, the final message here. It says, if I'm surprised that African countries don't trade with each other, are you even aware that it's more expensive to travel to some African countries than traveling to Europe? Even
Very
making
true.
you just broke it. We're just managing this table we are using, then you just come shattered everything. Rotus, it's a wrap.
Yeah, thank you all for your messages. I always love hearing from our listeners, our clients, as always. Omas,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I
All
catch you
right,
guys
Rotus.
for Tech Friday tomorrow.
All right. Have a great day, Rotus. Bye. And to everyone who sent in a message this morning, say thank you so much. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.